Today's lesson is Ex Libris, the almost forgotten art of book plates. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And my name is Helen.
And today we're going to talk about books. You may remember what those are. It seems like most of us do our reading online with our devices or our computers and stuff like that. But books are still around. And they're kind of making a comeback, just like vinyl records. People seem to be interested in buying books because, well, I guess they're sort of nostalgic.
Yes, books are also calming, I think, to look at, to have at home. When you have books lined on a bookshelf, it just makes a home feel homier. And there is a lot to reading books rather than e-books on a tablet because you can go back to certain sections more easily. And there's also the smell of books and the tactile feel of books that are very evocative.
Yeah, I don't really read books myself anymore. I use the Kindle most of the time. It's just so much easier to download books from the internet instead of having them mailed over from the US or try to find them locally. And of course, a lot of people like Helen do prefer books for those reasons. And today we're talking about something called book plates, which have to do with books. Let's begin. Let's find out about the almost forgotten art of book plates. Let's listen to the first part right now.
Ex Libris, the almost forgotten art of book plates. Nothing beats the smell and feel of paper as you turn the pages of your favorite book while it transports you to new and delightful worlds. It's an even better feeling when you own the book and know it will always be available to you in your collection. And this is where book plates, or ex libris, come in.
So diving into the first sentence of today's lesson, it says here, nothing beats the smell and feel of paper as you turn the pages of your favorite book while it transports you to new and delightful worlds. So it's true, some people enjoy reading books made of paper instead of e-books or Kindles, because they can enjoy the smell of the paper that the book is made of and the feel of the paper as you turn the pages of your favorite book. And while you're reading your favorite book, often you are transported to new and delightful worlds. So as you are reading the story that's being presented to you, you might feel as if you're traveling to a new world via your imagination.
Indeed, and it's an even better feeling when you own the book and know it will always be available to you in your collection. And this is where book plates, or ex libris, come in. Okay, so yes, indeed, people like books. Many people still like the feel of books with paper, the smell, the feeling of pages and stuff like that. And it's even better if you actually possess or own the book yourself, because once you read it, you still have the book. You can hold it in your hands and you can put it on your bookshelf. And over the years, you can amass a huge collection of books. So when people come over to visit you, they can look at your book collection and go, wow, you are really smart. You've read all those books. So indeed, you can have a book available to you in your collection. If something's available, of course, you have access to it. So yes, indeed, you've read the book, but it's on your shelf. And if you think about something, I remember reading something in that book. Let me see if I can find that information. And you can go find that book and go back and find the passage that you're looking for.
Yes, and to let other people know that this book belongs to you, you can have a book plate made for your book. And book plates are also known as ex libris. And when you want to own a book, this is where book plates come in. So here, the phrasal verb come in means when something or someone is needed for a particular purpose. I could say, for instance, we're going to have a big party, and that's where Sally comes in, because Sally is a big, wonderful chef, and she's going to prepare all the food for the party.
That's right. So that's when we introduce this particular topic of ex libris. If you do want to have books available to you in your collection, you can take it one step further and have what is called a book plate, or in Latin, it's called ex libris, as we're going to find out in the next part of our lesson. So let's carry on to the next part. We'll listen to it first.
The term ex libris is Latin for from the library of, and ex libris consists of beautifully and often delicately designed labels that are attached inside hardcover books to indicate ownership. Historically, prosperous book owners commissioned artists to create personal book plates for them based on their social status, interests, and ambitions. There was no limit to the imagination, with designs often including family crests and coats of arms, as well as landscapes, castles, ships, books, and more. Because of their beauty, owners proudly marked their book plates with their signatures. One of the oldest book plates dates from the 15th century and belonged to a German monk by the name of Hildebrand Brandenburg. Back then, monasteries were the only places where the public could access books, and the books were so valuable that they were often secured by chains. Brandenburg had over 450 books, each with its own unique hand-painted woodcut bookplate. Moreover, because books were often stolen, each bookplate also politely reminded the borrower to return the book after reading it.
大家好，第二部分我们可以看到形容词 prosperous， 指的是富裕的、繁荣的或是兴盛的。例如 The prosperous businessman was able to buy a large house for his family. 那位富有的商人有能力为他家人买一栋大房子。或者 Sean hopes that he could someday get a good job and lead a prosperous life. Sean 希望有朝一日他能找到份好工作，过着富足的日子。接下来我们看到单字 status， 这个字也可以念 status， 它是名词，意思是社会地位或是身份。举例来说 You should judge people by the things they do, not by their social status. 你应该以人们的所作所为来评断他们，而不是其社会地位。又或者说 Mark's work promotion raised not only his income, but also his social status. Mark 工作获得升迁，不只增加了收入，还提升了他的社会地位。再来我们看到名词 landscape， 指的是山水风景画、乡村风景画，或是自然景色、路上风景。例如 The landscape was flat, but Charlie thought that it was beautiful. 这片风景平淡无味，但是 Charlie 觉得很漂亮。又或者说The beauty of the Scottish landscape has been the subject of many paintings. 苏格兰自然景观之美一直是许多画作的主题。接着我们看到单字 secure， 它是动词，意思是使固定、系紧或是获得、保卫。举例来说 The sailors used thick ropes to secure the ship to the dock. 水手们用粗绳将船固定在码头。又或者是 The police officer secured the thief with cuffs. 警员用手铐把那名窃贼固定住。另外补充这个字的名词 security, S-E-C-U-R-I-T-Y, security, 指的是安全或是防护措施，像是 The jewelry store improved its security after some diamonds were stolen. 那家珠宝店在一些钻石失窃后，加强其防护措施。再举一个例子 For security purposes, please answer the following questions. 为求安全，请回答以下问题。
Now, the term ex libris is Latin for from the library of, and ex libris consists of beautifully and often delicately designed labels that are attached inside hardcover books to indicate ownership. So a long time ago, we didn't have softcover books or paperbacks. Those are books whose covers are soft. We only had hardcover books, or books with covers that are hard. And people who owned these books often wanted to show other people that these books belong to them. So they would have a delicately designed label made for that book. A design that is delicate would be one that is very attractive or that contains a lot of details that's made very carefully. So this label was designed delicately.
Right. Delicate, of course, is the adjective. And here we're talking about the verb to design. So the book plates were designed delicately, exquisitely, with lots of designs and lots of details and things like that. And those things, those book plates, are attached inside the hardcover books, and that will indicate ownership. So if you look at the book plate, you'll know who the book belongs to. And historically, prosperous book owners commissioned artists to create personal book plates for them based on various things, their social status, their interests, and their ambitions. So if you're prosperous, that means you're doing quite well, you're successful, you have a lot of money and a lot of prestige. And if you are a book owner who is prosperous, that means you have the money to pay for an artist. You will commission an artist to create that book plate for you. If you commission someone to do something, you hire them to do that job for you one at a time, basically. And we all know that people who work in sales or in the insurance industry get paid by commission, and here commission is being used as a verb. They commissioned those artists to create those book plates for them, and the book plates would be based on various things like their social status, their interests, and their ambitions.
Right. And the word prosperous can refer to not only people, but also places. So you could say that the country became prosperous, meaning it became rich and wealthy or very successful after the war. So prosperous can refer to both people and places. Now, these prosperous book owners had others create these book plates for them. And one of the things that these book plates can be based on is social status. So the word status refers to someone's position in society or in a particular profession, in their jobs, in their careers. A person could have a high social status or a low social status, and a person can also have a high status in the company that they work for if they are, for instance, the CEO of the company.
And of course, yes, the book plate would be designed based on the person's social status if they were a politician or a wealthy landowner or something like that. It will also be based on their interests. Do they like riding horses? Do they like hunting? Do they like traveling? The book plate would reflect those interests, and also it would reflect their ambitions, what they'd like to accomplish in life. Would they like to become very successful in a certain field? Would they like to travel to a certain country? Would they like to learn to play the piano or something like that? All of these factors would influence how the book plates would be designed.
That's right. And regarding the design of the book plates, there was no limit to the imagination. In other words, you could have almost any kind of design that you can imagine, with designs often including family crests and coats of arms, as well as landscapes, castles, ships, books, and more. So we have a long list here. Let's look at the first item in the list, which is family crest. A crest is a design that's used as a symbol of a family or a place of a particular social class. And it represents that family or that place as a symbol. And a coat of arms is another special design that a place or a family can use as its own sign. Now, coats of arms originally appeared on the shields or flags of knights, and they were used to distinguish one knight from another, or medieval soldiers, while they were battling each other.
Exactly. So a coat of arms might have a symbol in the middle, like a shield or something, and then to the sides there'll be like a couple of lines or something like that. That would be a coat of arms. So again, these are things that the designs would include. The designs would include family crests, coats of arms, and other things like landscapes, castles, ships, books, and more. So a landscape, of course, is a scene outdoors. If this particular person likes traveling in the lake region in England, for example, maybe they would have a landscape reflecting that part of the country. And also you might see a castle, which of course is a big kind of fort from ancient times, or ships with big sails, and books and all sorts of other things, maybe horses or their pet dog, or maybe their swords or whatever.
Yes, and because of their beauty, owners proudly marked their book plates with their signatures. So because these book plates are really beautiful, they would often include their own signatures with the book plate. So a signature is your name written in a particular style that only you know how to write.
Indeed. So let's move on now to the next paragraph here. It says, one of the oldest book plates dates from the 15th century, which would be the 1400s, and belonged to a German monk by the name of Hilprand Bradenberg. And yes, that's quite old, going back to the 1400s. And back then, monasteries were the only places where the public could access books, and the books were so valuable that they were often secured by chains. Now, a monastery, of course, is where someone goes for extended religious study. You've got Buddhist monasteries here in Taiwan, and in Europe, of course, there were Catholic monasteries there, Christian monasteries, where monks went to study the religion in order to spread it around the country. And yes, indeed, the monasteries had those monks, and the monks had those books. It's the only place where people from the public, regular folks like you and me, it's the only place where we could get access to books or access books. In other words, to basically see those books, to get them, to read them and stuff like that. And the books were so valuable. They were rare, and because of that, they were secured by chains. If you secure something, you make it stay in one place. You want to have things in your apartment secured before a typhoon comes or before an earthquake comes. Otherwise, everything will be a big mess after the disaster.
Yes, and Brandenburg had over 450 books, each with its own unique hand-painted woodcut book plate. So here we have an idea of how these book plates are made. They are made by cutting wood or using woodcut. So a woodcut is a picture that is printed using something that's called a woodcut, which is a piece of wood with a pattern carved on it, and that piece of wood with the pattern is used for printing pictures. So these book plates were printed using woodcut.
Moreover, or in addition, also, because books were often stolen, each book plate also politely reminded the borrower to return the book after reading it. So yes, books were quite valuable back then, and even though they were secured by chains, people still managed to steal them. So in the book plate, they often put a little polite message. It reminded the borrower to return the book after reading it. Please return this book after you finish it. And then if somebody saw that, they'd feel guilty and think, I shouldn't have stolen that book from a monastery. That's a sin. I might go to hell for that, so I better give the book back. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Here's the third part. Let's listen.
By the 1920s, book plates were popular among bibliophiles and collectors, but as paperback books became increasingly widespread after World War II, their popularity diminished. However, their use has seen a slight revival in recent years, and you can even find tutorials online on how to craft and attach your own book plates. So, the next time you fall in love with a book, why not make it distinctively yours with your own ex libris?
第三部分我们看到形容词 widespread， 指的是普遍的、广泛的或是分布广的。例如 widespread panic over the approaching typhoon caused people to buy lots of bottled water. 因台风逼近引起的大规模恐慌，致使大众购买许多瓶装水。又或者是 The outbreak of the disease was not as widespread as originally thought. 那场疾病爆发范围没有原本想的大。最后看到单字 slight， 它是形容词，意思是微小的或是轻微的。举例来说 There's a slight chance that I will be able to get tickets to the play tonight. 我有些许机会能够弄到今晚那出戏的票。再举一个例子 If you look closely, you can see a slight difference between the real and fake gemstones. 如果你仔细看，可以看到真假宝石之间的细微差异。
In the last part, we looked at the history of book plates, and now we're going to go into the 20th century. By the 1920s, book plates were popular among bibliophiles and collectors, but as paperback books became increasingly widespread after World War II, their popularity diminished. So by the 1920s, everybody knew about book plates and they were very popular. Many people wanted one for their book, especially among bibliophiles. Bibliophiles are people who love books. And when you see the word file at the end of a word, it means lover. So bibliophile is a lover of books. And collectors also often had book plates. But around that time, paperback books or books with soft covers that were printed became increasingly widespread. When something becomes widespread, it becomes available in many places. It becomes more popular as well. So I could say, for instance, that in Taiwan, convenience stores are widespread because you can practically find one on every corner of the city block. And that happened after World War II. And because of that, the popularity of book plates diminished, or it dropped, it decreased.
Exactly. People were reading paperbacks. They're easier to carry and they're cheaper. However, their use has seen a slight revival in recent years. And you can even find tutorials online on how to craft and attach your own book plates. So again, we're talking about the use of book plates. They've seen a revival. That means a rebirth, basically. They're popular once again. And it's a slight revival. It's not a big revival. Not everybody's doing this, but some people are. So there is a slight revival of book plates in recent years. And yes, if you want to figure out how to make your own, you can watch some tutorials online. Those are instructional videos that tell you what to do. And you can craft or create your own book plate. So the next time you fall in love with a book, why not make it distinctively yours with your own ex libris? So here, distinctively is an adverb because it's modifying the verb to make. Make it distinctively yours, but distinctive is the adjective form. We could say, for example, that everybody seems to have a distinct speech pattern. Everybody talks in a different way. We can always tell who the person is by listening to their voice.
Right, or I could say, this coffee has a distinctively rich flavor, or that would mean this coffee has a rich flavor that distinguishes it, that separates it from all other types of coffee. So if you want to make your book distinctively yours, or yours so that it doesn't get mistaken for other people's books, then why not make your own ex libris?
Sounds pretty cool. I might check into that myself. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny， 今天要来练习文意选填的题型。那我们先快速浏览题目的10个选项。 A consist of 表示包含由什么组成，它没有被动用法哦。 B limit 可以当动词或名词，当动词可以表达限制啊，使限于什么，当名词可以指限制限额。 C available 是形容词，形容可取得的，可用的。 D commissioned 那它的原形动词 commission 就有委托任命的意思。那要注意这个选项，它可以是过去式、过去分词，或者是用过去分词当作形容词的用法哦。 E craft 可以当动词或名词，当动词可以表达精心制作、周密制定，那么当名词可以表达工艺、手艺。 F diminished 它的原形动词 diminish 可以表达减少、使减少或是缩减、降低。那要注意这个选项，它可以是过去式、过去分词，或者是用过去分词当作形容词的用法哦。那么 G reminded 它的原形动词 remind 可以表达提醒或是使想起。那要注意这个选项，它可以是过去式、过去分词，或者是用过去分词当作形容词的用法哦。H access 它可以当动词或名词，当动词就有读取、存取的意思，或是使用。那么当名词可以表达存取、使用的机会。那么 I signatures这个名词它表示签名、署名，特别注意这边它是复数形哦。那么 J dates from 它是表达可追溯至点点点，起源于点点点，要特别注意 dates 在这边它用单数动词，所以它前面应该就会搭配单数主词咯。那我们看完选项，接着就来做题目吧。 好，来看第一题。It's an even better feeling when you own the book and know it will always be 空格 to you in your collection。我们看到空格前面有主词 it， 还有动词 will be， 之后则是 to you in your collection。那我们可以知道空格应该填入形容词，或者是呢可以当做形容词的过去分词。那符合选项就是有 C available、D commissioned、F diminished 和 G reminded。 根据句意呢 available 是比较适合的，我们用 be available to somebody 可以表达某人可获得，某人可取得，所以正确答案选 C available。 第二题 The term ex libris is Latin for from the library of and ex libris空格 beautifully and often delicately designed labels。 好，这个前一段的段落最后一句它其实有提到说 This is where book plates or ex libris come in。 从这边我们可以得知 ex libris 可以是复数形。那在这个题目句子里面呢，空格前方这个 ex libris 就是复数主词，空格后面这个 beautifully and often delicately designed labels 设计精美且通常精致的标签，这其实是带有比较长修饰语的名词。所以我们现在有一个复数主词，然后后面有一个名词，我们知道空格里面应该要填入动词咯，再加上前半句它的动词时态是现在式，我们就可以判断空格要填入现在式的复数动词。符合选项的有 A consist of、B limit、E craft和 H access。 根据句意呢，最适合答案应该是 A consist of， 去表达说 ex libris 是由设计精美且通常精致的标签所组成的。好，第三题 Historically prosperous book owners空格 artists to create personal book plates for them。 空格前面这个 prosperous book owners 是主词，那么空格后方是名词 artists， 还有 to create personal book plates for them。 我们这边可以推断空格里面要填入动词。那语义上来看呢，它是在描述过去的事，所以要选择有及物用法的过去式动词。符合选项有 D commissioned、 F diminished、 G reminded。 好，那我们看到这几个选项里面 commission 和 remind 后面都可以接 somebody to 加原形动词，不过呢 commission 比较符合语义，我们用 commission somebody to do something 就是委托某人做某事，正式安排某人做某事。那这题答案就是选 D commissioned。 好，看到第四题 There was no 空格 to the imagination， 空格前面是 There was no， 那后面是 to the imagination。我们可以知道空格里面应该填入呢可以接 to 加名词的一个单数名词。符合选项的有 B limit 和 H access， 不过 limit 比较符合语义，我们用 there is no limit to something 就可以表达什么什么是没有限制的，所以答案选 B limit。好，那第五题 Because of their beauty, owners proudly marked their book plates with their 空格。好，空格的前面是介系词 with， 还有所有格 their， 我们可以知道空格里面要填入名词哦。那符合选项的有 E craft、 H access 还有 I signatures。 根据语义啊，应该要选 I signatures， 去表达说书的主人会自豪的在他们藏书票上留下签名。好，那么第六题他说 One of the oldest book plates 空格 the 15th century。 从句子结构判断，空格里面是要填入动词，然后还要配合主词当中这个 one， 所以是要用单数动词哦。再来看到空格后面它有受词 the 15th century， 我们可以推断答案是要选 J dates from。 dates from the 15th century 就可以表达可追溯至15世纪。第七题 Back then, monasteries were the only places where the public could 空格 books。 我们看到空格前面有主词 the public 大众，还有助动词 could， 然后空格后面有受词 books， 可以知道这边是要填入有及物用法的原形动词。那符合选项有 E craft 和 H access， 可是 access 是比较符合语义的，我们去表达说修道院是大众唯一可以取得书本的地方，这边答案就是选 H access。 第8题 Moreover, because books were often stolen, each book plate also politely 空格 the borrower to return the book after reading it. 这个句子它的时态是过去式哦。那我们看到空格前面有主词 each book plate 还有副词 politely 然后空格后面是 the borrower 跟不定词片语 to return the book 根据语义这个空格里面要填入有及物用法的过去式动词符合的选项只剩下 F diminished 和 G reminded 那只有 G reminded 是符合用法和语义的我们用 remind somebody to do something 就可以表达提醒某人做某事好再来第9题as paperback books became increasingly widespread after World War II, their popularity 空格好这个空格出现在句尾那前方的这个 their popularity 就是主词我们可以知道说应该是要填入不及物用法的过去式动词符合选项就只有 F diminished their popularity diminished 他们的受欢迎程度有所下降了第10题他说 You can even find tutorials online on how to 空格 and attach your own book plates 空格前面是 how to 那么后面是 and attach your own book plates 我们可以推断空格里面要填入原形及物动词那剩下的选项就是 E craft 它符合语义那么 how to craft 什么什么就可以表达如何精心制作某事物好那么以上是今天讲解我们来回顾今天单字咯
Delicately. The book featured delicately drawn images filled with wonderful details. Prosperous. Ms. Campbell runs a prosperous business that provides online security services to large corporations. Status. Jeffrey's work as a doctor gave him a respected status in the small town. Landscape. The artist was painting a landscape showing distant mountains topped with snow. Secure. The table stayed stable during the earthquake because it was secured to the floor with nails. Widespread. There were widespread protests against the government's unpopular policy. Slight. Calvin made a slight adjustment to his tie before the photograph was taken. Distinctively. Sharon has a distinctively unique sense of fashion that makes her stand out in a crowd.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoy reading along with us. I am Helen.
I am Roger.
See you next time.